Sports on Tap is brought to you by Go2 Pro Plumbing, Land & Sea Motorsports, On the Bay Customs Boutique and Cafe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
We are tonight's entertainment.
We're here to fuck shit up.
Sports the way it should be. Nothing sugar-coated, we're loaded with all the information you wanted. From legends to prospects, nothing's off limits. Chris and Joe be taking on all topics with no stopping. They keep it rolling and going and ball hopping at a rate that's hard stopping. With news that's jaw dropping, they're getting it in. Sports Center competition, man, they in it to win. This ain't a fluke, from Carolina to Duke, from MSU to Michigan. You'll know if you listening, if you ain't, you missing it. All the excitement, they shock like a thundercloud and ride with lightning. Get it together, you know ain't nobody better. Bring heat than cold weather. You better put on a sweater, you better just let it go when all come and attack. Sit back, relax, let's tell them it's on tap.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. If we take a fucking tight end, I quit. You can't let that shit happen. You can't.
And welcome to this week's edition of Sports on Tap. My name is Joe Waddell. I'm sitting next to Frank Dragata.
What's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? We are down a man this week. We're missing Chris Scott. I mean, he's not missing. We know where he's at. That came out bad. He's not actually missing. We know where he's at. He's under the weather this week, so we're missing him on the show, and we'll try and carry it without him, hopefully.
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 We were just sitting here talking about how interesting
Hopefully.
this was going to be because you guys have done this without me before.
Right.
But we have not had the chance to do this without one of you before.
Right. Yeah. And Chris and I started this a long time ago.
Yeah.
We've done plenty of shows together with other people. So missing you wasn't necessarily going to be
Right.
throwing us off too much, whereas this is something you and I haven't done just
Yeah, this is something I haven't done, period.
with with either
in,
one of us.
In my radio life is just be able to do a one-on-one with somebody else. So I'm kind of excited for it. I'm glad my first time can be with you, Joe.
Aw. Aw, thanks. We're not cuddling after this.
You sure?
All right. So without further ado, we're going to get into the bets, and we will get into it right now.
It's time!
All right, and we're experiencing some visual problems right now. But for the podcast, you won't notice visually. Just don't pay attention right now. We're missing our sponsors and our social media for some reason right now. But oh well, shit happens. Let's get into the bets.
All right.
All right. Am I leading off? here,
Yes,
Frank?
you were going to start it off for us.
All right. So first off, I'm going to take tonight's NBA Finals. I'm going to take the under
Okay.
in the finals tonight. It's 218.5. Giannis is now he's questionable. He went from out
He has gone from out to doubtful to
to
question.
now questionable. By game time, he might be probable.
I'm thinking he goes.
I'm thinking he goes. If he goes, he's not going to be 100%.
No, he's not going to be.
So
he's not
that-
going to be getting the minutes that he's used to.
And that to me, with both these teams playing, with Giannis not at 100%, I feel safe taking the under at 218.5.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet. For me, I'm actually going to stick with that game, but I'm going to be taking the Suns, whether or not
Okay.
Giannis. I learned how to say that while we were prepping for the show.
Yeah.
Whether or not Giannis decides to play tonight.
All right. Excellent. I am actually going to piggyback off of that a little bit.
Okay.
I am taking the Suns, giving up the 6 points.
Okay.
I just feel they're going to be too much for him with Giannis not at 100%, and possibly with limited minutes.
Right.
You never know how that's going to go.
And the only reason I'm not touching the spread is the fact that I don't pay close attention to basketball. So I
Yeah.
have no idea, like, especially these two teams. If we were talking the Lakers, if we're talking the Warriors, we're even talking the Pistons, those
Right.
are teams I watch. These are, like we were talking beforehand, this is going to be an exciting finals because these are two brand new teams.
It's not the same old teams, right?
Right.
So,
not knowing these two teams, I'm staying away from the spread, but
well, I'm just backing up your pick now
Right.
because I feel they'll take it giving up the 6 points.
Hey.
So there you go. Roll with that.
we can roll with that. So for this weekend, actually, we have the UFC fight Saturday night. You got Poirier fighting Conor for their the third trilogy fight. I'm taking Poirier. I'm leaning towards the fact that Conor is on the back end of his career now. I think Conor is going to become the guy that makes kids. These kids are going to come up there. He's going to be the guy they fight. And the guys who beat him are going to get shot up into stardom. The guys who don't, they're just going to have to find a different way there.
Yeah. I tend to think that his career might be definitely on the downward slope.
And I don't think Poirier is far behind him.
No.
I just think that he's more at the peak,
Yeah.
and Conor has already taken that downturn.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My next one is going to the MLB, Chris. I'm going to take the under 9 in the Boston and Angels game, mainly for one reason.
And that
Shohei
would be
Ohtani.
the pick I'm going with.
Yes, I know that was leading into your pick
Yes.
because that's honestly the reason why I'm taking that in this game. So
Right now, this guy's untouchable.
He's-
FanDuel right now is giving you a boost for 8 or more strikeouts.
Oh,
And
all
as
right, I like
much
that.
as I don't want to take that because it's against the Sox, it's easy money.
Yep.
I see no reason why you shouldn't take that. All right, and then
All right.
the final bet.
The final, we have a fourth one, and we both agreed on this one, so we decided to make it a fourth instead of just 3 apiece. And we're both going to go with Tampa Bay
Tomorrow night
to win the Stanley Cup in Tampa. And they've been outplaying
Montreal.
The Canadiens. Been outplaying Montreal the whole series.
Yeah.
Other than last night's game.
And even with last night's game, you can argue they outplayed them.
In certain levels of the game,
Yeah.
yes. And I think last night was the Canadiens with their last ditch effort to make a run here. I just don't see Tampa losing at home this next game, and I don't see Montreal overcoming this adversity right here.
I agree with you.
So we're both going to take Tampa.
We're taking Tampa.
All right, and those are the bets.
But
We're done.
To stay on that topic, did you get a chance to watch that game last night?
I did.
Okay.
I watched all of it. I was doing some show prep
Okay.
Last night, along with some other things on the computer, but some work things. But yeah, I had it on for the whole game, and I watched the majority of it. It was definitely a different game than the other games in the finals so far.
Yes, it definitely has been.
Carey Price
Looked like Carey Price again.
Again, yeah, he finally did, and I'm putting up a graphic on the screen here that is it's Carey Price's first 3 rounds versus his Stanley Cup Finals first 3 games.
Okay.
And his first 3 rounds, he was 12-5 with a 2.02 goals against.
Yep. Save
Save percentage to .934 with 1 shutout. Now, the first 3 games of this series, and it wasn't all his fault, and I know if Chris was here, he'd be saying that as well. It was one of those things where he didn't have much help.
Right.
But he was 0-3 in the finals up until last night with a 4.39 goals against. His goals against more than doubled, and he was down in save percentage as far as he was down into the 835 for save percentage.
Okay.
So he wasn't
So he was
playing
almost down a full 1/10 of a point.
Yeah. He was not playing well, but again, it wasn't all his fault.
Right.
He didn't have much help.
Well, the Canadiens' defense has looked mediocre at best for the most part.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're a bad defense because they are actually a very good defense. But playing against, as Chris has called them numerous times, a buzzsaw like Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
you can only do what you can do. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so much firepower on that offense that most teams in this league, if they're clicking on all cylinders, most teams in this league can't compete with them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Montreal looked all world, and so did Carey Price up until this series. And is it just that they spent everything in the first 3 rounds, and they just ran into a team that is overall better than them? Are they just not ready for this stage yet? Because they looked for the first 3 rounds, they looked like they were ready for prime time. Like they looked like they were ready to win.
For the local people, I think the best comparison I can make is this is the 95 Wings. Damn good team.
Yeah.
They're there. They're going to win.
Yep.
It's just not right now.
Okay.
You've got to tweak it a little bit. There's going to be a couple people that they're going to need to add. I would love to see them go after Eichel in the offseason. I think that would be an answer to their superstar problems.
They'd have to trade for him, right?
Yeah,
so I mean,
they would have to trade for him.
it's a matter of what they would have to give up, and from what I understand, they're looking to get a hefty price.
Yeah,
for
a couple of first, couple of roster guys.
Yeah, they're looking for a couple of basically all-star talent players, along with some picks, and they're not late round picks either. They're like firsts that they're looking for, along with a couple of all-star players. All-star caliber players. So it's like, is that worth giving up at a certain point? Because Montreal did look so good in the first 3 rounds.
Right.
They were an overall team in those first 3 rounds. Like
right.
Do you take a chance on wrecking that to get a guy like Eichel? That's.
I mean, I think the ultimate question is the youth you have on that team. Is that what's carrying this team? Or what part of this team is what's clicking the best? Because Carey Price is a great piece to have, and right now he's the number 1 piece that they have.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Price has only got a couple years left. He's not going to be playing another 10 years.
Yeah, and
at most 3 or 4.
And he played arguably his best season this year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it just goes to show you that what good goaltending will bring you. I mean,
It's a legitimate difference maker.
It's so huge, especially in the playoffs. I mean, regular season can make a difference, but when you get into the playoffs and you've got a goalie that's hot, or you've got a guy like Vasilevsky, or however you pronounce it, Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
It's see, you didn't know how to pronounce Giannis. I'm so bad at pronouncing some of these names.
Trust me, the hockey ones I don't have down pat, but I got most of them.
Yeah. So but he's if you have a goalie of that caliber, or a goalie that gets extremely fiery hot in the playoffs, you can win the Stanley Cup. I mean, you ride that hot goaltender until the wheels fall off.
To throw back to another Wings comparison,
Jaguar.
And the 08 Cup, we had Hasek, we had Osgood, and they literally just played whoever was playing better.
Yep.
And that's the best way to do it. Vegas did the same thing. As soon as Fleury started going down a little bit, Rayner took over, and they rode him.
Yep.
It's just the way goaltending works. So having Carey Price is great, but is this team going to be able to play that well with the backup goalie in?
Yeah.
And that's the question that I don't know the answer to. And if they can, then you can take that money and you can start to tear things apart.
Yeah.
And you can, reorganize your finances that way.
Yeah.
If you can't play without a superstar goalie, then you need to understand that you add the right pieces, don't add the best pieces.
Right.
So
Right.
Ultimately,
Because-
it's what to answer your question directly, it's what do you see in Carey Price?
Yeah.
If you see Carey Price as the guy that you need, no, you don't touch that team.
And how long do you see Carey Price being there and being that guy?
Right.
Is how much more time do you give him? And I don't even know his age. I know he's up there.
Price is, I have him up right
But
now.
he's one of those guys where, again, arguably his best year, but he's not getting any younger.
33 years old.
33?
About to turn 34.
Okay. He's still got a few years of good hockey left then. Because
yeah, like I said,
goalies
probably
play
about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
If
So if
he
you're
is
looking to make a
the-
run with this roster,
Yeah.
and tweak it a little bit, I think you'd be crazy to go after Eichel in that situation
Okay.
because you've got a good enough team around you. I think you like you said, you put the right pieces in
Yeah.
place as opposed to just the best pieces in place. You've seen what the best pieces in place can get you,
Right.
And it's Edmonton, and it's in the first round of the playoffs because they've got
that.
they've got arguably two of the best hockey players in the National Hockey
I would
League
say
at this
for
point.
sure 2 of the top 5,
Yeah.
arguably 2 of the top 3.
So you've got the best players there.
Right.
You've got the best. You didn't put the best for your team there.
Right.
And hockey is a real team sport.
Mm-hmm.
You need it. You need a team. You can't just put the best players out there, two of the top 5 best players out there, and then put a bunch of other guys around them and go,
Right.
all right, go win a cup. It doesn't work
Yeah.
like that.
No, I definitely agree with you on that one.
But yeah, it's I mean, you and I both have said we think the Stanley Cup Finals are over tomorrow night.
Yeah,
So
I think this series was over before it began. Just
it
the way
it almost seems like it.
I wish it wasn't the case because I do like Montreal. I love the way they play hockey. I love how passionate the fans are, and
They've been very intriguing.
yeah,
They've been very
intriguing.
fun to watch.
And I think more than anything, like I'm at that point where I'm cool with seeing the cup go back to Canada. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, don't allow that to happen.
I don't give two shits.
I don't care. I think
Yeah.
I think Canada's a great country.
It's a Canadian game.
Yep.
They haven't won it in forever.
Right.
So if a Canadian team wins it, I really don't give two shits either
Right.
way. I just want to see good hockey. That's all I
And
care
that's
about.
what we've gotten. Even in
Yeah.
these games that haven't necessarily been great games, they've been good games to watch.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the playoffs this year a lot more than I did last year, and maybe it was the fan aspect last year. I mean, I don't know, but I have enjoyed it more this year than I did last year.
You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, actually, because WWE is going back next Friday, I think it is, to finally having fans again.
Oh, all right. I might start watching again
Right. So,
because it's been really boring without fans.
right. So, like, even last night I was sitting there thinking about it, going, I really, really appreciate the fact that sports tried to do this without fans.
Right.
But I'm so happy that fans are coming back because nothing was the same. basketball wasn't the same. Baseball just looked really weird with nobody there.
Yep.
I mean, Tigers fans were used to it, but everybody else.
I think for me personally, the one that wasn't that much of a difference was football. I watched football games, and
I could see that.
It didn't have that much of a difference for me. I just watched the football games. Like it wasn't.
Well,
it wasn't like I missed the crowd as much as
The
in
field
hockey.
is so large in football.
Yeah.
So when the camera is on the play, you don't
see
see
it.
too much of the crowd.
No, it's
you
more
see
about
the
noise.
sideline. Right. And
They
they
pipe-
fed that all in.
They piped that in.
so yeah, I mean they
it wasn't.
penalized teams for doing it in the past, and then everybody did it last year.
It wasn't organic, but still, it fit the bill to where
Right.
I couldn't tell that much of a difference.
And when the stands were out of sight,
Yeah,
and I heard the noise,
Yeah.
I forgot that they weren't there.
exactly. I think that's the reason why it's the one that I didn't tell the difference on as much. Hockey, I missed the fans completely. Even watching some NBA games, I missed the fans
Yeah.
completely. Baseball, I don't know. It was. I think that was right behind football is the one I didn't miss the fans the most in.
It
Other
felt
than like
weird at times.
yeah, like foul balls, just
Yeah.
going foul and hitting the stands. I think that's where I miss fans the most
Okay.
is foul balls, watching fans try and catch them. Speaking of which, did you see the fan that caught the foul ball over the weekend?
I don't believe I did.
So he was holding a beer in his right hand.
I love when guys multitask.
He was. I couldn't get this video. I was looking for it to get it, and I wasn't able to download it and get it. For some reason, the video wasn't downloading for me to load up here. But he had a beer in his right hand. He had a toddler in his left hand.
Incredible.
And do you know what he dropped for a split second to catch the foul ball? The toddler. But he caught
on.
he caught the foul ball and then grabbed the toddler before she fell too far. So he caught all three and held on to all three and spilled like 2 sips of the beer. It was very, very impressive, but I also question
I was going to
his
say,
fathering skills.
knowing the end result, that's awesome.
Right.
At that time, no, not awesome.
And I will say the toddler looked like she looked like she was laughing the entire time. To her, it was probably like, wee. But when she gets older and looks back on that, she's going to go, what the fuck, Dad?
By the way, I did just check our Twitch stream.
Yes.
Chris, make sure to let you know it is MLB, not the MLB.
I'm aware of that. I said it just for you. I was hoping you
I
were
only
listening.
mention it because we had a couple of comments.
I was hoping you were listening, and I mentioned it just for you, buddy. I even said your name right afterwards, just because normally I like look over at you when I say it just to get your reaction,
Just to watch him react in real time.
and to see your reaction, Chris, because I know it irritates you so much. But I just wanted to irritate you, even though you're not with us. So you're welcome. I also have something here from Dennis. He said Vegas messed up their playoffs with the goalie switching. In his mind, he thinks that
It's
messed them up.
completely fair to say.
I can't argue it.
Yeah.
Because you don't
Fleury
really
had been so good that there was almost no reason after one, and it wasn't even a bad game. It was a mediocre game he played.
Yeah.
So to go off of him after a game where, I mean, he basically, quote, shot 500, there was no reason to can him after that.
No.
And then to even question later on whether they would go back to Rayner or whether they would, start Fleury. Yeah, Dennis, I think I would agree with you in that one. I think Vegas managed to screw themselves out of that one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue against it. You can say it was a move they had to make, and I couldn't argue against that either because
You're a genius for doing it or you're a dumbass for
right,
doing it.
right. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you
Yep.
don't. Right. I mean, every call made by a coach, general manager, whatever, is always questioned in hindsight. And you, like you said, you're a genius if it works out, and you're a goat, a scapegoat, and
Yep.
you're an idiot if it doesn't. So
Yeah.
and it didn't work out, so you can definitely question.
Yeah,
what they did.
It's a shit spot to be in, my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I like the old school way of knowing that you have your goalie and then your backup goalie.
Right.
So when you have two goalies that are pretty close to being just as good as the other one, I get overthinking it, but it's just that. It's overthinking it.
Yeah, and listen. Sports is a lot of overthinking.
It can be.
There's too much thought put into a lot of this stuff these days.
Right.
So I think we're going to transition from hockey now into another finals, which starts tonight, and that's the NBA finals.
The NBA Finals.
And we've got two teams that I don't think at the beginning of the playoffs anybody thought they were going to be there.
No. I mean, what was it? 2 years ago, the Suns were the last place team in the West?
Yeah, 2018?
I think it was.
And now they're in the finals.
Yeah.
And they're playing against Milwaukee and another team that people didn't think were going to be there. The Lakers were thought to be going. It was the Nets. Everyone was riding that bandwagon when they had fucking everybody on their team.
I was going to say their sixth man at one point was Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
That team, I still don't understand how we're not talking about that team right now.
I couldn't agree more. Injuries, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Chris Paul is the biggest story in this to me. He's kind of resurrected his persona, of the way he's thought of in the NBA in my mind. He took a very young team with some young talent. One is ultimately talented in Devin Booker.
Yeah.
And the center Ayton, and a very young team who's very inexperienced. And Chris Paul came in there, who was a guy that basically in NBA circles was talked about as not being able to win anything. He had never made the finals before, and now he has. And in my mind, in my opinion, he's going to win the finals. I could be wrong.
His time.
And he's resurrected the way certain people think about him in my mind. That's the way I look at this right now. Is he's kind of a resurrection story of he went in there with some young guys. He didn't do it the way a lot of guys do it, like LeBron, who I fucking hate. He didn't get a bunch of very talented players, top tier players of other teams to follow him. He went to a young team, and he helped carry them to the finals.
I'm looking at his stats right now. You have, he's 11-time All-Star, 10-time All-NBA player. He was the 05-06 rookie, the 05-06 rookie of the year, the 05-06 All-Rookie team, 9 times on the All-Defensive. He's got all the stats. Yeah. You look at his points over a career, he averages just over 18 a game, rebounds 4.5, assists 9.5. Career-wise, he's a really good player. And he's just always found himself in a situation where he was either the other guy, not good enough to do it on his own, or a nice piece.
Right.
He never has found himself in this position where he is the veteran leadership on the team. And he's finally that guy. And really, from being a fan of him through most of his career, I really enjoyed watching the way he played basketball. He was always an alternative to LeBron.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's always been fun to watch for me. And I think some of the criticism he got is a little unfair, but I could see it. I mean, some
guys are just difficult,
and some people think my criticism and a lot of our criticism on LeBron is unfair. But I looked at it with CP3, and I thought, some of the criticism is just not fair. It's not all been his fault every time.
He's not been in a position to prove that he can do this.
And now finally he has. And he did. And they're playing the Bucks and with one of the most talented young players in the league at this point. And that's Giannis. And he, to me, he's just fun to watch.
Is Giannis top 3 in the league right now?
Top 5.
Top 5.
And you've got some young guys in these playoffs that really showed out. And Giannis, and of course Middleton, who the Pistons traded for a bag of chips.
Throw-in.
Yeah, he was a throw-in in that trade. Has been balling out. But Giannis to me is just a very fun, exciting player. He's one of the new generation NBA players that I enjoy watching. And I don't enjoy watching a lot of basketball anymore.
Right.
NBA basketball, that is. But he's one of those guys that I really do tune in to watch. Him, Luka Doncic.
Luka is so much fun to watch.
Trae Young is fun to watch. Devin Booker's fun to watch. Donovan Mitchell's fun to watch. That group of young players that are taking over the mantle from guys like LeBron. These guys are fun to watch. And the playoffs have been fun to watch with all these guys in there.
Right.
And they've all shown out in certain games in certain ways. They've shown how much talent is in the NBA coming up through the ranks right now.
I think two of the guys that have shined the most through this playoffs is Booker and Lillard. Like,
Okay. Yeah, I can see
and,
that.
and I think that just has given basketball fans or sports fans in general a couple of guys to just enjoy playing, watch playing.
Yep.
Now that we're going to have to start looking past LeBron. Carmelo's pretty much at the end of his career. Chris Paul's close to the end of his career. Durant is, I'm not going to say close to the end, but he's coming up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of these guys that we've known for 10, 15, 20 years,
They're aging out.
yeah, they're aging out. Not everybody's going to be Vince Carter playing for 40 years.
Right. I miss Vince Carter.
He only retired like last year.
I know. I know. But he was always fun to watch. I don't care how old he got. He was always fun to watch. I always loved the fact that I could tune into a basketball game and see him on the court.
Yeah,
You know
he
what
was
I mean?
probably
Like,
gonna be there.
He was consistent. You know what I mean?
Like, he's the only guy, I think, that played against Mike and Devin Booker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put Booker in that, conversation or
Right.
anything right
No.
now, but he's today's hot star.
Yeah.
Especially right now, and he's earned that through this
He
playoffs.
played with multiple generations of talent.
Yeah.
And speaking of talent, and it upsets me that Giannis is injured going into the series, because you're not really going to get to see him at 100%.
And if Phoenix wins,
and
there's that asterisk.
There's that, right, and there's that. All right, well, if Giannis was healthy,
Yeah.
There's that if factor, and I'd like to see both these teams healthy going into this finals.
I would agree.
But when it comes down to this deep in the season, no matter where you're at, whether it's the NFL with the Super Bowl, whether it's Stanley Cup Finals or the NBA Finals, when you get deep into the season like that, there are injuries to take into account.
sure.
I mean, every team is beat up at that point, some more than others, and having your star player have an injury that he was listed as out yesterday.
Yeah, I got a
And then-
notification from ESPN that said, nope, not playing.
Right. So when you're injured to that point, and you're the best player on the team, it's a little disappointing that you're not going to be able to see the stars at their best go at it. But it's the way it works.
And
it is what it is.
As much as you dislike the guy, LeBron actually did talk about that at the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he tied it into a different conversation. The
Right.
conversation they were talking about was if you should rest guys throughout the year. And I wholeheartedly disagree with the idea of doing that.
I do too.
I think
do too.
you play your best players 100% of the time.
Yeah. I agree with
If
that.
they're healthy, if they're not, it does not matter. If these are your 5 best players, those are the 5 you play.
I
If
agree.
one of them's hurt, you fucking play them.
but if he's
As
hurt-
long as he's able
right, as
to
long as
play.
he's able to play. Yeah, I mean, and I hate to be the old guy, but back in the day, you didn't see guys like Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley. You didn't
Right.
see those guys were banged up all the time. You didn't see them taking nights off. You didn't see them resting.
No.
It wasn't load management. Like, get the fuck out of here with that.
To throw it back, I mean, late 80s, early 90s, Mike had to go up against the bad boys.
He got the shit kicked out of him.
Sometimes in 5, 6, 7
Yeah.
straight games, he had to play against these guys. There's zero chance he was healthy going into a next series if he managed to get by them.
Even the Celtics,
Yeah.
with McHale and
Yeah.
Parrish, those guys would kick your ass every game.
See, we're talking about teams where, I was like 2, 3 years old.
I know,
So I
yeah.
just have to talk about the few teams that
Yeah.
they talk about now. But yeah,
But
I mean,
you've
Lakers,
seen some
the
of the
Celtics.
old video and everything. I
Like-
mean, like those guys would kick your ass.
Yeah. And it's still, I love the Bad Boys 30 for 30. We talk about 30 for 30 all the time. The Bad Boys 30 for 30, I still love watching because it shows how great basketball used to be.
Yeah. That was basketball's heyday for me, and obviously it was during my time. But like I look at the NBA now, and these young kids are making it watchable for me again.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, guys like Booker, Doncic, Mitchell,
They
those
haven't
guys,
kinged anybody.
even the young Pistons.
We're allowing people to become great.
Yeah.
We're not telling them already that they are great.
Right. And they're not telling us they're great.
Right.
Which is one of my biggest turnoffs for LeBron is he always wanted to be considered the greatest, and he always wanted to put himself up against Michael.
Yeah.
And none of these young kids have got that mentality. So from what I've seen of,
Right.
I'm the greatest, I'm so great, they just go out and play.
If the Suns manage to win this year, Devin Booker next year is going to be the poster boy for the NBA.
I think he should. One of them.
I just see
But
the-
I think they'd be stupid not to have a lot of these young kids be the poster boys because they're bringing me back. I enjoy watching them play, and I didn't watch much NBA for a long time.
Right.
I haven't enjoyed it. I'm enjoying watching these kids play.
Like,
it's fun.
Like I had mentioned Dame a couple of times already. Like I love watching that dude play basketball. Watching the Celtics right now. Yes, I'm a Boston slap guy. I love that city. But watching the Celtics with Smart, and I can't think of the other dude's name right now off the top of my head, but
Was it Tatum?
yes,
Yeah.
Jason Tatum. You've got these young, talented kids, and it's just fun
Yep.
to watch again.
Yep. It's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. Going from things that are enjoyable to something that is not so enjoyable for one athlete, and that's Sha'Carri Richardson. And she has been disqualified from competing. Now, is she disqualified from all events or
So-
just the one that she tested positive when she ran?
She was suspended for 30 days.
Okay.
Which eliminated her from being eligible for any of the sprinting races, the 100-meter, or
Okay.
any of those. The only one that they thought she might be able to jump into was the relay.
Okay.
And just over an hour ago, they came out and said she didn't make the cut for the relay team. I don't know if it has to do with the positive test. I don't know if it has to do with she's just not a relay runner. I don't know. But
Okay.
she was not included in the final roster for the track and field team.
Okay. So she got disqualified and she was suspended by the IOC,
Yes.
the International Olympic Committee. For those of you that don't know what IOC is, for smoking weed. She tested positive on race day, basically, for weed. Now let's put this in perspective a little bit. I will say that the IOC doesn't test throughout the year. They don't care if you smoke on your off time.
Yeah.
You're
I mean,
allo-
it's been noted Usain Bolt is like one of the biggest athletes that uses marijuana.
Yep.
He just doesn't use it when he's going
When
to
he's
compete in
competing.
the Olympics.
Right. So
Or
a
really
lo-
anywhere that's going to test him.
right. Well, there's a lot of people that are up in arms about let her run. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I understand where that's rooted. Right. So we talked about this.
Yeah.
It's rooted in the fact that weed is legal in a lot of states
Yeah.
now.
I think it's 13 states that have legalized it now.
Yeah, and
maybe more.
and that weed should be legal. Mm-hmm. And my belief is, and I know your belief has been this way too, Chris's as well, is we've talked about how weed should not be against the rules in sports.
Right.
It just shouldn't. If you're allowed to take opioids and painkillers all the goddamn time, like they're allowed to take pill after pill after pill after
Right.
pill, but you can't smoke weed. I think that's stupid. I think it's dumb. It's completely asinine.
Yeah,
like
I
you
agree
like
with
you
you.
said, one of the texts. They're living in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, and I know we agree on this, I'm going to throw it out there for everybody. If you're upset and you want her to run, tell her to follow the fucking rules. I have no sympathy
Yeah.
for her. None.
And I'm not going to say I have no sympathy. I do in the sense that this is a stupid rule for them to still enforce. And enforce is the wrong word to use. It's a stupid rule for them to still have.
Right.
I believe all of your rules, regardless of how stupid they are, should be enforced. They're
They're
there
rules.
for a reason.
They're rules.
I think we're on the same page
Yeah.
with this. Like, I am a huge advocate for marijuana. I don't hesitate to tell anybody that.
Right.
But at the same time, there are certain places that I'm not allowed to use it. Certain places that you wouldn't be allowed to use it. Chris wouldn't.
So
It's just not something. We're still in a time right now where this is taking the step
So-
to becoming legalized.
alcohol's legal.
Yes.
Am I allowed to drink at work?
Nope.
Am I allowed to drink and drive?
No.
No, it's against law. Am I allowed to openly drink in public?
There are some places now that I guess are allowing that, but most
still,
places no.
Right? Okay. So am I? If I were to get in trouble at work, if I were to have an accident, and they take me to be tested,
Yeah.
and I have alcohol in my system,
Yeah.
I'm fired, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for weed, right?
Yeah.
If I have an accident at work,
Same thing goes for
right?
us.
Exactly. If I have an accident and they take me to be drug tested,
Yeah.
and I have weed in my system, I'm fired.
Yeah. I think
But-
the first big place that has now moved past the weed regulation as far as a fireable offense, I did see Amazon had moved past it,
Okay.
but that
All
is
right.
one group in the world essentially at
Yeah.
this point that has taken that step, and that's great that they took that step.
And more will come.
Right. Oh, they're definitely. I mean, especially right now in the current climate it is, as far as jobs and everything. Like, especially in this state, if you're going to knock somebody for having a positive marijuana test, you're going to have a hard time finding employees.
Exactly. And that's. But with that being said, rules
It's still the rule.
are rules
Yep.
for a reason. They're rules. Period. I don't care if you agree with the rules or not. I don't care if you agree with the laws or not. Laws and rules. There are consequences for breaking them.
Right. Like,
That's just the way it works, man. And for everybody that says, "Oh, you have to let her run. She should be allowed to run." No, I'm sorry. Do I agree with the rule? No. I think it should be gone. But do I agree with them enforcing the rule? If it's there, you
Yeah.
enforce it. She should not run. She broke the rule. I don't give a shit why or how or what happened. She broke the fucking rule.
I think I was very much on the side of the let her run, but in the way that it's being discussed right now between you and I,
Yeah.
I think the let her run is a really poor choice of slogan for this situation.
Okay.
It should be change the rule.
Yes.
It shouldn't be let her run.
Right.
By letting her run, you're encouraging the breaking of the rules, in which
I
case
agree.
all of them should be able to do that.
Exactly.
And in that case, we
Get rid of the rule.
may have a fucking Pontiac Fiero with a rocket booster on the back of it. Just a little nugget for what Joe and I ended up doing last week instead of the show. So you just look at it and go, okay, if we're going to break the rules, we're breaking them across the board.
If you're going to break the rules, put on a scuba suit attached with duct tape and
let's go to the fucking moon.
and go to space. Go visit the space
Yeah.
station. Like if that's what you're going to do to break the rules.
If we're allowed to do that, great.
Right.
But we're not. And that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a
It's-
huge fan of it, and it sounds stupid, but I'm a huge fan of rules because rules keep things organized.
Yes.
And when you have organization, then everything works out in a at least close to being fair way.
There needs to be rules. There needs to be laws. And are some of them dumb? Yes. Do
Yes,
some of them
like,
need to go away?
I think we should be allowed to go punch stupid people in the face.
Bro, I said that at work today.
I am completely for this, but I also understand that you can't punch people for even that reason.
Right. It's a law. You can't.
Right.
I wish you could. I wish it wasn't a law that you
Yeah.
couldn't. I would punch a lot of people. But
16-year-old me wishes that
And-
I could drink all day long.
and honestly-
but guess what? Wasn't allowed.
honestly, there's some people that probably would punch me. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
But
dude, for sure
if-
I'd have two black eyes
if
tomorrow if that was the case.
if the rule got put out there that you're allowed to punch people if you disagree with what they had to say, I'm sure people would punch me too.
Yeah.
But there are some idiots that I would love to get a few licks in on. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's a rule you can't, so I don't. It's not a thing.
And as extreme as that example is, it almost is necessary in a situation like this because it shows you that where do you draw the line on the rule? We're talking about drug use, so we're going to allow marijuana, but if somebody decides to drop mushrooms beforehand,
Right.
if somebody decides to blow a line of coke, somebody's using heroin, where do we stop the line from moving forward? Because all of these things are under drug use.
Exactly. And for everybody that is not in the conversation, we're talking about Sha'Carri Richardson being suspended and not being able to go to the Olympics for smoking weed. And I think there's two subjects to this, right? There's one, there's the fact that it's a bad rule and it needs to go away.
It's a terrible rule.
It needs to go away. With that being said,
If it's a rule, it needs to be enforced.
done. Both those points, you can feel both ways. You can agree with both
I
of those
feel
topics.
both ways.
I do too, and that's it's not just the rule sucks. It needs to go away, and she needs to be able to run the Olympics.
No, we need to change the rule
Exactly.
and then allow for her to compete.
Right.
But the
it-
rule needs to be changed, and in 30 days, it's not going to get changed.
Not gonna happen.
So, unfortunately, she's going to end up being the sacrificial lamb.
Yes.
In the situation where I guarantee you, in 4 years, that rule is getting changed.
I guarantee it gets changed way sooner than that.
I'm just saying, in 4 years for the next
Right,
Olympics,
yeah.
it
It
will
will.
be changed.
It will be.
If it's not changed next year for the winter ones.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it will change. Until it does, you have to enforce it. Mm-hmm. You have to enforce it. And for people that think that she needs to be allowed to run the Olympics, I'm sorry to tell you, you're fucking wrong. You're wrong.
You need to be on the side of getting the rule changed.
Yes.
And if you're on that side, essentially you're supporting your own belief, just doing it in the way that things need to be changed.
Exactly.
We need to start at
There's
the
a
beginning.
process.
We don't start in the middle. We start at the beginning. And this world in general, I think, could use that. There's a point where you can start with changing things. You can't jump into the middle and do it.
No. Very, very much so. There is a process to the way things work, to the way getting laws changed, getting rules changed. There's a process to it, and you have to follow that process. And if they start following that process right now, they put that process in motion now, then they can get this rule changed. But until then, you're just not going to get it changed by complaining about the fact that she's not able to run. That's not the way it works. So, speaking of rules and things changing,
Dude, I'm so excited about this.
yeah, name, image, and likeness, also known as NIL.
And I'm
in
excited
college
for
sports.
this because I feel like college sports has missed this by about 20 years.
Yes. So what this does is this brings into the argument where people always talk about players in college getting paid, right? They talk about players in college getting compensated, which has been a topic for many, many years.
Yeah.
And this essentially skirts that.
Yeah.
But it allows the players to get paid by using their own name, image, and likeness,
Right.
NIL. So
And they cannot use the school's name. They cannot.
unless the school gives them permission.
Okay, did they change?
They're allowed.
They added that into the addendum.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they're allowed to. They're allowed to ask the school for permission to use the school, but for the most part, you're not allowed. Excuse me, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to use the school's name
Okay.
and logo and anything like that. It's your own name, your own image, and your own likeness.
So it's probably going to be a situation where if you're cool paying the school to use their name too, you can use the name.
Right. Basically,
Okay.
you'd have to rent or pay a price for that. So basically, it and I've got it up on the screen right now for everybody watching, and I'll go over it. It's third-party endorsements,
Okay.
social media influencing, own work, product, or business activities, autograph signings or meet and greets, things like that.
Okay.
You can't. Again, it goes back to this. You cannot use intellectual property from school.
Right.
They did say you were allowed to ask the school for permission and get their agreement to let you use it. But for the most part, you're not allowed to. So these things that, like, I've seen a lot of NCAA athletes join Cameo recently.
Seen Barstool go crazy signing.
Yep. So there's Chris, University of Miami, your team, your school that you back has they have a backer.
And this, you would mention this before the show to
Yeah.
me. I think this is a genius idea.
It's brilliant. It's
Especially
fucking brilliant.
to be one of the first schools doing it, just in terms of recruiting.
Yeah.
It's fucking genius.
Oh, it's brilliant. So one of their main backers has them, and I forgot the company, but it's a company that signed every player on the University of
That's the way
Miami
to
football
do it.
team. So every player gets paid $6,000 over the year, right? And that comes out to roughly $500 and some thousand, something like
Okay.
that. So every player on that team who will play for the University of Miami this next year, I believe it starts this next year, will get $6,000.
minimum of $6,000.
Right. So what this backer is doing, what this guy is doing now is he's trying to get other companies to do the same thing for the University of Miami. So if you get 4 companies
Right.
to do this, right? Every player on the University of Miami will then, if 4 times 6, 24, so $24,000
Right.
a year. Also You get your schooling. You know, you get all the things you normally would get, but you get an extra $24,000 for choosing to play for the University of Miami. If he gets 3 other organizations to do the same thing,
is going to be the difference between some of these kids eating, some of these kids affording textbooks, and some of these kids being able to afford transportation back and forth.
If they're now $24,000 a year isn't a ton.
No,
but it might make some kids rethink. If they're fringe players, they might rethink joining the NFL draft and stay at school.
Yeah.
Now, if you're the big name players, you're going to be making even more than that because you're going to get your own endorsements. You're going to have social media influencing that you're going to make money off of. You're going to have plenty of things you're going to make money off of if you're the bigger name athlete.
Right.
Again, those bigger name athletes, now that they can make money off their own name, they might make more than they would in an NFL contract. They might choose to stay longer as well.
Very true.
So this overall, in my opinion, is a great thing.
And I think it's been known that it was going to be a great thing. I think at this point, the NCAA was legitimately the last people to get on board for it. I think anybody with half a brain who cared about sports and knows anything about business knew that this would be a great thing. Hold on, sorry. Allison just popped up real quick, and
okay.
she is commenting.
Yes.
She had said first that Chris cannot listen. When he laughs, he acts up along. So,
okay.
Apparently, we're too funny.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
Pat on our back for that.
Y'all motherfuckers didn't think I was funny last show we had.
and well, that was because you told a bad joke.
That was because it was a bad drop. I get it.
You can't hit. Can't hit for the cycle.
Not every.
Show,
If you notice,
sometimes you lay a dud.
I haven't done any drops during this episode only because I'm actually a little too busy to even do any drops over here.
And actually, I will tell you a little bit off topic, but it has to do with our drops. I actually, for the first time, have heard the diarrhea commercial.
Diarrhea.
Yes, I finally heard the whole. I had no idea where you had gotten that from, and I heard it the other day, and I'm just driving just.
So you know where I got that from. So
Pepto-Bismol commercial. Yeah, I know.
But not just from there. So my sister and her fiance, her husband, whatever, they were telling me they died laughing at the commercial all the time.
I did laugh.
And they suggested you should get the diarrhea drop. It's just hilarious. You should get that. And I instantly added it in. And I laugh every time I hear that commercial too. And I was like, you know what? That's a great drop to add in. I'm going to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, it was them that talked me into doing it.
Okay. And she was just saying that she was agreeing with me that the rules need to change, but you can't break rules in order to get them to change.
Right.
Like, it just makes sense.
It's the fact that this is public and so public is going to possibly get it changed, but you don't break the rule. You enforce it.
Right.
And then change will come about. You need to make the process of change.
Yes.
Yeah.
That word especially. Process.
Yes.
There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. You can't start in the middle.
Allison, I'm glad you agree with us. Thank you. Thank you. And
if nobody else does, at least one person does.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Anyways, back to the name, image, and likeness. The NCAA was really the last ones to go, yeah, you know what? This would probably be a good idea. I think fans all knew that. Me as a teenager, I knew that. I was excited to look to play the video games. Mm-hmm. But then I'd jump on a video game and it was quarterback number 7. Like,
yeah.
Why can't I call this guy Ryan Mallett or whatever his name was at that point in time?
You had to physically go in and change every player's name and almost do a create a player on every player just to get those players. And that was exhausting.
They looked like the player.
Yeah.
They had the same number. You just had to change everybody's name so there was an actual name.
Yep.
And in all honesty, doing that in a video game, like, video games do make a difference in getting recognition for some of these names.
Oh,
if
very
you
much
have a
so.
stud O-lineman in Madden, people realize that player is better, and they start paying attention to that player.
Absolutely.
Like, those things do make a difference. So now allowing for the NCAA to have, NCAA football, NCAA basketball, whatever it may be, that's also going to be looked at by, the GM of the Detroit Pistons. And if he has a kid who's playing a video game and he goes, hey, Dad, this guy's pretty good in this game.
Yeah.
And his dad's going to look at it, watch a game, and go, oh, my kid was just talking about him. Let's take a look at it. And maybe one guy gets a job because of something like that.
Well, and it gets youth into the sports too,
It
which
does
is
that too.
what every sport wants, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter what sport it is. The video games and things like that are help get the younger
Especially
generation
in the
into
generation
games.
that's coming up right now.
Yeah.
Video games are a huge thing. I got my new TV delivered yesterday. And
Nice.
the guy, thought I was a little bit younger than I actually am, and he was being funny. He goes, you can't play video games on this. And I just looked at him. I was like, first of all, I don't really care. Second of all, yeah.
Yes, I can. Wait. Why would he tell you you couldn't play video games on that TV?
Because I think he thought that I was much younger than I am.
oh,
So I think he
Yeah,
was
but-
making like a smart ass comment.
Oh, it wasn't
you gotta-
true that you
right.
can't. Oh, okay.
I think he was making a smart ass comment to me like, you can't just sit around and play video
Okay.
games on this thing.
all right. Listen, it's my TV. The fuck I can't.
Right. And trust me, that's one of the first things I looked at. You definitely hook PlayStation up to it. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. But just through video games, these kids are going to learn things. And through advertising for car dealerships and shit, people are going to get to know those names.
Yes.
Like, you're going to look at college athletes in a different light moving forward. They're going to be names. They're not just going to be numbers on the field.
Exactly. And for many years, you're right. They were just numbers.
Mm-hmm.
They were numbers. Jerseys you used to buy. You used to have to get them without names on
I
them.
had
It's
a
like,
TJ Duckett one that said Spartans on the back.
yep. And it's this is a good thing overall. And I think a lot of people have said that it's just the big name players that are going to get paid. And you're wrong, because the University of Miami just proved that every player is going to get paid.
Right.
Because these kind of deals can be made. The University of Miami is just the only one to do it so far.
Right.
But it's so new.
You don't think that U of M Healthcare is going to pay, 90% of the Michigan football team to all of a sudden show up in a commercial?
Right.
Where it's in front of the hospital or something. Like, I'm booking this thing in my head just off the cuff.
It's
There's
going to
people
happen.
being paid to do, like, they're going to come up with far better ideas than even I have.
It's
And
gonna
if I
happen.
can come up with it.
Female athletes will profit more for this. You know why?
Most of the names I've seen right now are female athletes.
You know why? They have great social media followings. And what happens when you have a great social media following?
because attractive female athletes are the biggest draw for men.
Even unattractive ones, even not so attractive ones, female athletes have a great social media following.
You look at some of them, though,
Well,
and the
listen,
more
they-
attractive they are,
they-
the better they do.
I agree, but I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
As another guy, I wholeheartedly agree with that because I follow a lot of the hot ones.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, even some of the female athletes who you wouldn't necessarily say are gorgeous or beautiful or whatever, they have a lot of social media following.
Right.
And they know how to build up their brand social media wise, but they can't profit off of it up until now.
No.
Now they can.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I
Yeah.
legitimately cannot remember this girl's name. She was a gymnast for UCLA the last few years.
Oh, I know who you're talking
Yes,
about, but
she was
I completely-
phenomenal.
Oh shit. Yep. Go ahead. I'm
Anyways,
gonna try and look
so you take an athlete like her and how recognized she was last couple of years in gymnastics, and then the fact that she was all over ESPN and she was all over different highlight shows.
Was it Caitlin Ohashi?
Yep.
Yep.
Caitlin Ohashi. There we go.
Yep.
If that girl was allowed to bring in endorsements last year,
Yeah.
she'd have been one of the top paid athletes just because
Oh,
people knew
absolutely.
who she was. People knew what she was doing. And that's a gymnast. Like,
So-
gymnastics aren't, in non-Olympic years, gymnastics aren't watched.
No.
Like
No.
basketball, football, baseball. In Olympic years, they are.
They are,
But
absolutely.
in non-Olympic years, it just doesn't happen.
You're
So
right.
you could have a gymnast that could have been the top earning athlete last year if this would have been in place then.
Yeah. And so I have a question to pose to you. It's not an original one. I've heard it several times now since this has gotten passed.
Right.
And it's who do you think in the past would have
Tim
profited?
Tebow.
Yeah.
Hands down.
So like there's
Tim Tebow, Reggie Bush.
okay. Reggie Bush is one of my top ones that I said. Reggie Bush could have made. Reggie Bush could have made more at USC than he already did at USC.
On the Reggie topic, though, do you believe he should get his things back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that the rules changed, I agree.
Now that the rules
Up until
changed.
the point the rules didn't change,
Right.
no, he didn't deserve that.
It goes back to our other topic.
Exactly.
So the rule has now changed, and the rule should have changed a long time ago.
Right.
But the fact that it didn't meant they had to enforce it.
Right.
And whether you agreed with it or not, they enforced it. right? So should Reggie Bush get his Heisman back? Should Reggie Bush get those? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Should the Fab Five get put back in? Should their banners get put back up?
You saw the Weber
yes,
tweet.
I saw it. Yeah.
Give me the keys.
Absolutely.
Give me the keys to the room. Let's get these banners back
Absolutely,
up
it should.
Yeah.
You've changed the rule. You've admitted you should have done this.
Now, I will say the NCAA needs to reverse the rulings they made on those things.
They won't.
They won't. They absolutely
won't.
will not. But if they would reverse them, then yes, you give Reggie back his Heisman. You give the Fab Five back their banners.
The problem is, and we just agreed on it, they won't. The
Right.
NCAA is more stubborn.
Yeah, they
than-
might decide to
than-
do it, in 20 years after 5 of them
They're gonna
have passed.
right,
or something.
exactly. They're gonna wait until they're all dead and gone, and then
Right.
go, all right, well, you know what? Now we're gonna go back in time and take that away.
They're like the Tigers are with retiring numbers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sadly.
Sorry, it was just a weird comparison that popped into my head.
No, you're right. That's a great comparison because that's how they are.
Yeah, but it's just like it's one of those things that's identical, but you don't think about it in real time.
Yeah, it's sad, but that's the truth. That's the truth. So this is one of those things that do you think this prolongs college athletes in college? Do you think it makes them want to leave for money sooner, which I don't see that happening? Or do you think it just kind of stays the same? They'll make some money while they're at college and still go to the pros whenever they can go and leave when they can go.
You look at.
Do you think this changes anything about how long they stay?
I want to say I just got a notification about Mac Jones's deal earlier today.
It's like 20-some million. Something like that.
Okay.
Maybe not even that because he was 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it might even be less than that.
We'll use 20 as a safe number. He's definitely not the highest paid quarterback. He's definitely not the lowest paid. He's right there in the top 20, top 50.
I think Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall was like $38 million.
Yeah, he barely cracked, I think, the top 15 with his contract. But you just can't. Endorsements are great, but they're not going to touch those deals. So if you have a guy who's going to go as a top player in a position, he's probably gone either way.
But for the big names, like Mac Jones, your starting quarterback at Alabama, like Trevor Lawrence, your starting quarterback at Clemson, those guys can make that much in endorsements and more.
Right.
So now endorsements will also transition.
The contract money on top of it.
Right. Will add to, so
I think it's going to be hard to get your top guys, but if you have a junior who's looking mid-second round,
fringe players,
he may stick around for his senior year now just to say, hey, I'm going for a first-round pick because I'm making money anyways.
Right. Well, let's look at Trevor Lawrence, right? Say he had a deal worth $25 million. Mm-hmm. He easily could have gotten $25 million off of endorsements.
Yeah,
I truly believe that.
Yeah.
So he just signed for 38. So $25 million. Does that sway him to try to go for another title at Clemson? Now he just got $38 million in the draft by going number 1 overall. So that makes him at 63 million total. Now, is 63 million that much more than 25 for him to go back to school another year and try again for another championship?
In Trevor Lawrence's case, no, because he's already done it. But if we're talking Denard Robinson years back, going back to Michigan rather than going pro because he might have a shot at...
He's a fringe player, though.
Right.
He's another fringe player.
Okay.
Like if you're talking top athletes who when you talk about turning down $38 million to only keep, or you turning down $38 million to only get 25, that's a big difference. But when you think about it, in the millions of dollars range,
$13 million anyways.
But you think about it in the range of it, like he could have had 25 plus the 38, or he could just have the 25 and go back for another title. Like I think some kids will get swayed to go back because they're already making so much money. They're going to go, well, I'm already making this much money. I can make that again. I can get to the NFL next year. I'm going to try again for another championship. I'm going to try to go for this.
It's also going to be interesting to see if they structure some of these deals as in
you only get it if you're in college.
Trevor Lawrence gets $20 million from Nike or somebody for his senior year, but if he goes pro, it's 40.
Right.
If he goes pro and he's a first-round pick, it's 45.
Yeah.
If he's the first overall pick, it might be 50. Like, incentive-based contracts.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with it. I think it's just too early in this rule to make that call.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of ways this could play out, and I'm just happy that the players are going to be getting money at this point.
Right.
Like they should have been making money all along. We've all three on this show discussed that in the past, and there's many people that have thought they should have been getting paid. I mean, the coaches get paid millions and millions of dollars to
Right.
coach them. The universities make millions and millions and millions of dollars off of their name, their image, and their likeness, yet they weren't allowed to.
You look at how
This
much
is-
money some of these universities were pulling in back when Stephen Barry's was open, and the
Yeah.
deals that they had with them, and then just alter it a little bit and imagine if college athletes also could have promoted that brand,
Right.
and what they could have done at that point.
Yep.
Like that would be a brand that would probably still be around.
And locally, I think even some of the lesser known players on these teams will make good money doing meet and greets and signings, autograph signings.
For sure.
Because your diehard Alabama fans are going to want every Alabama player's autograph. You could be the
You're the third string long snapper. People are going to be excited to meet you.
right. I'm not saying you could charge $50 per autograph, but you
Right.
can charge money per autograph, and a lot of people are going to come out and get it. A lot of people.
And just to defend what I said, if you have a third string long snapper, you're a fucking idiot.
But that just goes to show the point that diehard fan that like these schools have diehard fans, and there's millions of them out there.
Absolutely.
The lesser known players will still be able to make money off of this.
Your backup quarterbacks are going to get deals.
Yeah.
You're maybe not in some of the, mud and dirt type positions. Your defensive line guys, if they're stars, they're going to get nice deals. But if they're just a piece of a nice defensive line, they're going to get something.
Yep. You could still
Your O-line's going to get something. Your backups may not get it at
But
those
you're-
positions.
but there's-
That's where the $6 million from Miami becomes really, really attractive.
6,000
Or 6,000.
But it's like that, and again, you make your own, right? So you try to make your own. So you set up signings, you
Yeah.
set up meet and greets, you do things. There's other ways that these lesser known players can make money now,
Right.
As opposed to they're just there on minor scholarships and having to pay their way somehow, some way. Now they can make money off their name.
I think the Madden checks, I think they get the last practice of spring training. And I want to say they're right around like $2 million for a name player.
Okay.
And they go to like $200,000-300,000 for a lesser known player.
That's great.
So if we alter that and say it's half of it for a college athlete, you're, like I said, your third string fucking long
Yeah.
snapper is going to be getting $15-20 million or $20,000 just from being in that game. And that's going to make a world of difference for some of these kids.
yeah.
Like when I think of a college kid, I don't know if you got the opportunity to watch it or not, but there's a movie on Disney Plus called Safety. Did you get the chance to get it?
I have not. No, I haven't watched it.
I highly recommend watching it because not only is it a good story, but in this situation, that story wouldn't have been a story
Okay.
if college kids could get paid. It probably
Okay.
still would have been a story.
All
It
right.
just wouldn't have been as big
Okay.
because a lot of the struggles he went through was the fact that he had no money.
He tried. Yeah. Yeah.
So I look at that and I go, okay, that kid's not in that position. That helps him.
Right.
That helps in
For
this
su-
situation his family because
For sure.
like some of these kids are coming from nothing, and their nothing is still what their family's in. They're the only shot that family has at getting, thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly even millions of dollars.
Yep.
So if those kids can start making that money now, that's a family that has 4 less years of hardship, and it's earned money. It's not just stimulus money or just handed to you. It's money these kids earned,
Right. And
doing nothing different than what they did when it wasn't legal.
the fact that they couldn't make money off their own
It was
name.
just stupid.
Yeah, it was dumb. I'm so glad it's changed. This is a great thing, and I think that's how we should leave it at this point. There's a lot of things that are going to play out here, and it's just overall it's a great thing.
And I think it's going to be very fun to watch what's going to happen next offseason, the offseason after that. Like the question you had asked, do I think it'll influence people to stay back or go forward?
We're going to see.
We're going to find out. And that's what I'm excited about in this situation. Like, that's why I said it was too early to tell, because this rule is so new. The changing of it just happened. We haven't had that situation where Trevor Lawrence is deciding between, do I just keep $20 million or do I go for, $100 million?
Right. So there's before there was zero incentive to stay, right? Now at least there's a monicum of reason to stay, a monicum of incentive to stay.
And I mean, another thing that pops into my head thinking about it, Tim Tebow, you asked me which ones I thought would have been benefited from this in the past. Tebow would have, but if he structures a deal where he's keeping these endorsements, there's a chance Tebow's still making money right now off of an endorsement. Yeah. There's a chance Reggie Bush is still making money off of endorsements right now.
Well, the Fab Five would have made even more than they already made at school.
But we talk every year about Bobby Bonilla Day. You're going to have fucking contracts signed with companies that are going to end up like this. Yep. They're going to be paying them, I forgot who the shoe deal was with a few years back, but somebody in the NBA who just disappeared. Yeah. And they had a shoe deal, and they're still going to be getting paid for like another 5-10 years.
Yep. I forgot who it was too, but there that is the story. So speaking of getting paid and things that teams do to get some recognition and things like that, Adam Schefter released a statement that read, the Dallas Cowboys are expected to be selected to appear on this season's 5-episode series of HBO's Hard Knocks. He said an official announcement is likely to come as early as today. The show will debut Tuesday, August 10th at 10 p.m. Frank?
I'm excited for one thing. I get to watch Micah Parsons.
Okay. Yep.
I love that kid. I did not hide that whatsoever leading up to the draft. I really had wished the Lions would take him.
Yep.
I think just when it comes down to talent, this kid's going to be fun to watch. So seeing his personality, allowing him to build his individual brand is going to be cool. Outside of him, I couldn't fucking care less about the Cowboys.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at too. I'm not a Cowboys fan, and I know, Steve, if you're listening, brother, I know you're a huge Cowboys fan, and I know you listen quite a bit, so I apologize to you, but I dog you all the time for being a fan of that franchise. I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not. This was like, there could have been so many more teams that I would have been excited about. This one getting announced to me was like,
I'm excited because 5 weeks I get to watch Jerry be Jerry and Micah Parsons and nothing else.
I'm excited to see Micah Parsons because I kind of was like you. I was very enamored with his talent, and I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL.
I really believe that.
He's other than that, I have no reason to watch. I don't care about Dak Prescott. I don't give two shits about Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb.
Not interesting anymore. CeeDee Lamb really didn't do much last year to make himself interesting.
Yeah, Zeke has outlasted his stay with me. I could care less. It's one of those things where I just don't give a shit about any of them.
I agree with you.
Any of them. They could have announced any number of teams that would have made me more excited than the Dallas fucking Cowboys. Like
the team I can't figure out why they didn't go with them is the Rams.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
LA. They've got the new quarterback.
But
Sean McVay is almost an enigma in the NFL world.
Were they disqualified by the rule of you can't be on there within a certain amount of time of being on there originally? Wasn't LA on there recently?
I think those rules are only on there. Now, this is a think. I'm not positive on this. I think those rules are only there if the team doesn't want to be.
Okay.
So if the Rams said no, then those things would apply.
Okay. So it's basically like you can turn it down.
I don't think you go to LA if you don't want the media attention.
That's true. And it's a perfect situation for Hard Knocks because brand new quarterback. There was the disagreement that McVay and Goff didn't get along, right. And there was there's the fact that you kind of fell off the map, and now you're going back to try and win a championship with a new quarterback. It would have been fun to watch.
You always look at the families and stuff. Detroit people know Kelly Stafford is always in the news. She would have been a personality on there. Like, There's things you could have done with more intriguing teams, and I just throw LA out there just because that's an easy
But there
example.
was
to
other
make.
intriguing teams that you could have put out there
there's
too. Like
tons of 'em.
you honestly, if you were to sit here and
Your
start,
fucking Browns could have been on.
I would have rather had many other teams on there.
I would have loved to have seen the Browns. I would have liked to have seen the Steelers.
Yeah, I would have been down to watch that
You
because
got a Big Ben come back, see if he's got it in one of his like. There's storylines all across the NFL.
there's way more storylines. Like you could sit here and name off almost every team in the NFL, and I would say I'd rather watch that on Hard Knocks than the Dallas Cowboys.
Like Jacksonville must have just straight up said no.
That's
because-
first year head coach.
Right, but again, you could approach them. So
Right.
you've got Jacksonville with Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, and Trevor Lawrence.
And Trevor Lawrence, that would have been fucking perfect.
I was gonna say the NFL goes from 6 to midnight the second Tebow's name gets mentioned.
Yeah,
Like that would have been a great choice.
I think they're going to be upset
The
because
fucking
I don't,
Dolphins would have been a great choice.
yeah, the Dolphins would have been another one. They're a team that I really like. I
Green
really
Bay
like
would have
that
been
young-
interesting as shit. Does Rodgers show up or not?
It's funny. Miami would have been a great one for me. I would have loved to see Miami.
I would
That-
watch.
a young team with some personality and yeah, that would have been a fun one. Would have been a real fun one.
I mean, you could explore the relationships with quarterback and receivers, and
Yeah, I
they're
mean
just-
you've got Tua in his second year who after his first year has more doubters than he did before,
Right.
And those doubters are now even stronger.
they
and then
just picked up Waddle.
yeah,
His
I mean there's-
relationship there.
that's yeah, that would have been a good one too.
I mean, wasn't it Waddle that
see
came
now
out
I'm even
and said
more
straight
disappointed.
up
Now I'm
that-
even more disappointed they're choosing fucking
Right.
Dallas.
But that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, there's so many other choices.
Yeah.
Why did you go with the Cowboys? Like
Well,
the
hold
people who love the Cowboys are going to be so excited.
They're America's team. Get
Right.
the fuck out of here with that
For
shit.
the 45 million people who actually like them. The
America's
other,
team.
5.5 billion people in the world fucking hate them.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works with that team.
So sticking with football for
And-
just a minute.
And Jerry's Jerry. Like, I'm going to enjoy watching him make an ass out of himself, but after a week or two, it might get old.
Right. Sticking with football, this is one we didn't talk about before the show, but I just want to do this one real quick because we're talking about football, and I just love talking football.
Go for it.
So, top 10 NFL bounce back candidates for this year. So I'm going to read the top 10 that are listed here, and I want you to tell me your opinion on who you think the top 3 actual bounce backs are going to be.
Okay.
Right? I just want your opinion on this. So number 1 is my boy Odell. Okay, number 2, Danielle Hunter from Minnesota. 3 is Julio, now with the Titans. 4 is Christian McCaffrey, injury problems last year. Nick Bosa, injury last year, same as Odell, kind of. Carson Wentz, new team, same coach he had when he succeeded in Philly, calling the shots. Joe Mixon, who never really seems to put it all
I'm
together.
going to tell you right now, Carson Wentz is not in my top 3, but Carson Wentz is the one that I'm putting the asterisk next to going, this is the one to watch. This is a boomer bust option.
That's to me, and I want to get to the rest of these, but to me, I agree with that. This is, and I'm a big Wentz backer. You guys know that. I kind of have said, listen, I think Philadelphia failed him. He didn't fail
And
Philadelphia.
fucking Reich loves him.
Right, and Reich was the guy that was there when he succeeded. I think this is do or die for Carson Wentz, though. It's either either you put up or you shut up, and if you put up, great. If you don't, if you screw this up, people like me can't back him anymore.
He needs to be Ryan Tannehill, but better.
Yeah,
Tannehill had that exact same situation happen to him. He got to leave Miami because it was a toxic area for him. He got to go to a coach that believed in him, and then he became the guy. And I'm not going to say that he's going to have stellar numbers ever, but Carson Wentz has that potential.
He does, and again, it's all set up for him to succeed. And if he doesn't, again, guys like me can't back him up anymore.
Right.
We can't make that argument after this year. If he fails and falls flat on his face, I can't make that argument.
The most it gives you is 5 years down the road, he's Kerry Collins for some
Right.
team, feasible quarterback, and they end up making a nice run in the playoffs. You get the satisfaction of going, I fucking knew he had it. And
Right.
You just never got to see it.
And they have a top 3 or top 5 offensive line.
Yeah.
I would say top 3, but they got a top 5 offensive line. They have
I'd
a
argue it's one of
great
the best.
great run game.
If not the best.
A very young running back, great running game, and they have some young wide receivers. I think it's all set up for him with the coach he succeeded with to do it. So anyway, moving on, Joe Mixon, who can never seem to put together a full season. Saquon Barkley, injury problems. Dak Prescott, injury problems. And Jimmy Garoppolo, always injury problems. So your top 3 out of those 10.
One's easy for me. It's going to be Garoppolo. Because as soon as I almost said Notre Dame. As soon as the Niners decided that Lance was sitting and Garoppolo was starting,
Yep.
you're giving him that opportunity. And
Go succeed.
yeah, and I think he's going to. I don't think he's going to be their long-term quarterback.
No.
But I think he's going to play himself into another job somewhere.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And because that team is set up to win.
Yeah.
Their defensive players who were injured last year are coming back. Mm-hmm. They still have a great defense when those players are healthy.
Leads me to number 2, which is Nick Bosa. Because when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, I understand he only played a handful of games, but he is one of the best defensive players I have ever seen.
That dude can dominate.
Yes. Like, he is.
I think he's even better than his brother.
Yeah, he is better than his brother. I look at him like I look at TJ Watt. He's young. He may not be better than his well, TJ is now.
Yeah.
But before, he may not be better than his brother, but he's about to be.
He's about to be, yeah. And who's your 3?
3, I mean, Mixon's a nice choice, but Mixon's going to completely depend on what that team does.
Yeah.
Let me see that list again.
Yep. There you go.
Odell's not happening. I'm sorry. I'm giving up on Odell.
I completely agree with you. Listen, if you're saying bounce back year as in he's going to be healthy and he's going to have an okay year, like he's obviously going to do better than last year if he stays healthy. I don't think he's ever going to be the number one, 1,600 yards, 90 catch guy that people expect him to be. He's just not going to be that.
And honestly, his peak at this point is what I see with Julio. It's not that Julio has fallen off.
Right.
He's just at that point of his career. The coolest thing about the Julio trade is what it's going to do for AJ.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with Julio. And Tannehill.
Yeah.
You're giving them the second option, finally.
I think the rest of that team succeeds more than Julio does because of Julio being there. Derrick Henry's going to have bigger holes to run through because they're going to have to pay attention to 2 wide receivers on the outside. And it's Tannehill's going to be able to pick people apart because if you double cover one, you got the other one open. So
I think McCaffrey would have to be my 3, but Dak is also going to be another one that really could bounce back and have a year.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with McCaffrey being my 3.
Okay. I think McCaffrey's my
almost
1.
unfair because it's an easy choice.
Yeah. I think McCaffrey's my 1. I'm leaving Nick off. Garoppolo's my 2.
Okay.
And Carson Wentz is my 3. And in my heart, he's my number 1 because I really, like you said, I want to be able to say, yes, Philadelphia failed him. I was right. And if he fails this year, I have to admit that I was completely wrong.
Right.
And I don't want to do that.
Even if he succeeds 2-3 years down the road,
yeah.
If he fails this year,
it's
kind of like crumple it up.
Off.
We got to start.
Yeah,
over.
I got to back off. I got to be like, I can't endorse this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And if he fails, and Jimmy Garoppolo succeeds, I'm really interested to see if there's something that starts to get. Yeah, I'm stumbling over words now. If something starts getting talked about with Trey Lance going to Indy.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think that fits his skill set.
Yep.
And as nice of a choice as the Niners are, and it's set up for him to take over that team, if Jimmy G's a guy, you'd be stupid to give up a guy to go with somebody who might be a guy.
Right. Yeah.
Like, especially when you have somebody that highly touted that's going to bring back a hell of a return.
Yeah.
You could get a first, maybe 2 first, if he's got to play a game or 2 and does what Matt Flynn did to Detroit.
Yeah. I think the Niners, Jimmy would have to ball out for...
The potential's there.
But it is, based on the rest of the team. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be a world beater, but
no,
he can get the job done with the right pieces in place, and I think they have the right pieces in place. Last year was one of those years. Jimmy has to stay healthy.
Yes.
And I think Jimmy's playing for a job somewhere else. I don't think Lance loses that job based on what Jimmy does.
He literally has to become a world beater for Lance to lose that.
Yes. Yes. And I think they view Lance as the next guy.
And
He's
he should
the
be
next guy. But
if
you guys,
Jimmy ends up being a guy, you've got an interesting situation on your hands.
Well, and you guys know I was a huge Trey Lance
Yeah.
guy before the draft, and I think he's gonna be fantastic for them. He needs a year to grow, though.
He does.
He needs a year to grow.
It's
So
an Aaron Rodgers
it's
situation,
very-
except he got
very-
drafted where he should have been drafted.
Right. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. It's one of those situations where you let him sit this year, maybe even next, and then you
I
go
would
from there.
I would have no problem seeing him sit for a year or two.
Yep.
I think that would be one of the best things for him.
So I think next, there was one topic we were still gonna do, but we're gonna put off that. It was a baseball topic.
I was going to say, you want to put it off or you
Yeah,
want to go
we'll,
with it?
we'll put that one off till
Okay.
next week. We'll see how the week plays out, but it's definitely still going to be a topic next
It'll
week.
be more fun talking about him ripping up my socks.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll get into that next week. So now we're going to get into the segment that we enjoy, that we love, and that is
You know what really grinds my gears?
what really grinds my gears. And for this, I'm going to play a little video for everybody that's watching, and I'm going to talk about it for everybody that's listening. And this is my favorite athlete, LeBron fucking James. And I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to explain what's going on in this. So this is, well, I guess I was going to play the LeBron James video.
Is it not going to play? There it goes.
There we go. All right, so this is LeBron James, and he is at the basketball game of his son, who is playing in the LeBron James arena, and he takes down a guard of that was blocking him from getting in, one of the guardrail straps, and goes over and he starts yelling at the announcer. The announcer basically made the statement that his son Bronny got the call because he's playing in the same arena that is named after his father. Now, LeBron James, why can you not stop saying, "Look at me, look at me"? This is ridiculous, man. Like at a certain point, you got to grow the fuck up. And I was so glad watching this video that Bronny bricked this free throw after his dad made a spectacle of yelling at the announcer. Who cares what the announcer says? He's the announcer. You don't stop a basketball game where your son is playing in to go over onto the court to then yell at the announcer for your son, something he said about your son. Like, this is you not in the playoffs anymore. This is you not in the finals. This is you upset that people aren't looking at you anymore, aren't saying, "Oh, LeBron this, LeBron that,"
You know
and
who
you're
he's
upset.
starting to remind me of? And this is
Look at me.
a weird comparison, but that moment right there kind of had something pop into my head. He's starting to remind me of Kanye. Where
Yeah.
no matter where the light's at,
It's got-
Kanye always just
Turns it
seemed
towards
to
him?
find himself right in the middle, walking into the middle of it.
Yep.
I mean, the Taylor Swift incident obviously is what pops into my head when I watch that, because this is the kid's moment. This has nothing to do with you. If I'm LeBron James in that situation, I want to be seen, not heard.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
it's-
my
it-
hope is that my kid is the one who's heard from.
It's insane to me that you're LeBron James. You can't be the everyday parent at a game with your kids where every parent that acts out and does that shit, if he was anybody else and ran onto that court, you don't think those police officers would have drug him off of there or
God,
escorted
yeah.
him out of there? But because it's LeBron James, they just let him stand there and yell at
Yep.
the announcer. Bro, sit the fuck down. Stop saying, "Look
This
at
ain't
me,
about
look
you."
at me." You are not in the finals. You don't. Just stop, man. Please just stop. I don't enjoy hating on somebody as much as I have to hate on you.
The only thing that I will defend him if it comes out that he was literally telling them, this isn't about me. Stop talking about me. Talk about them. Which I have no reason to think that's the case.
Even then,
But if I found that out, I'd go, okay, I can respect what he did.
even then, you wait.
You should.
You confront that announcer later on and say, "Listen, man, don't do that shit again. It's not about me. It's about my son. It's about those kids." If that was his point, if that was his point, then fine.
Right.
But you do that at the right time. You don't walk on the court.
Which I
You
agree
don't
with.
stop the game while your son's trying to make free throws, which he bricked the free throw right after that. You don't do that. You do it at the right time. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it.
Also, what arena has the announcer that plays throughout the game?
I don't know. I don't know. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It was
super random when you said that, and I was like, I didn't realize that they had.
Well, it is the
fucking
LeBron
announcers.
James Arena, and LeBron James' son is playing there, so there's probably extra perks that they do.
Because it's LeBron James.
Yeah. So my next grind my gears is going to start off with a rest in peace, and this is a genuine rest in peace to Matisse Kivlenieks, who was the third string goalie for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he passed away tragically.
Yesterday morning.
This weekend, I was going to say, from a fireworks accident. And he was actually he was locally, he was in Novi at Manny Legacy's house. Manny Legacy, in case you don't know, is the goalie coach for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Matisse Kivlenieks, he was 24 years old, I believe. And he's young. And unfortunately, he passed away from taking a mortar round from a firework to his chest. Now, this brings me to my grind my gears. After saying rest in peace and my condolences to the family and prayers to them,
the family, the Blue Jackets organization, the whole everybody,
the whole 9 yards. It's tragic. It's tragic.
Fucking pisses me off. We even got to talk about this type of stuff.
It does me too, which is why it's my next grind my gears.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Why can't people leave fireworks to the fucking professionals? Why do people feel the need to buy explosives and light them off around their family and friends?
Yeah.
What? There are plenty of fireworks shows for you to go to. I've gone to several this year. I've taken my daughter to several this year. There's plenty. I looked around. There's plenty of fireworks shows done by professionals where your family, thank God, will not get hurt, will not die, will not lose fingers. Why the fuck do people continue to buy explosives and hurt themselves and their family and their friends? It's insane to me. I just don't understand this.
Yeah, I've always been the type that I go to a 4th of July party every year. I'll start off with a little story. I go to a 4th of July party every year, and my brother and some of his friends do fireworks for everybody at this party. And it's cool, and they all have a good time, but my mind immediately reverts to when I was a kid and watching my brother take a firework to the face.
Hey.
Yeah, it fortunately was a very small burn. It was more of a bottle rocket than anything, so it wasn't a huge deal. But the potential is it could have been a mortar round.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have that replay in my head. It's something that I've never forgotten. And when it comes down to fireworks, I'm like, no, I'll let people like Jason Pierre-Paul or those guys do the dumb shit.
Right.
I'll just sit here and enjoy it.
Yep.
But then we hear about a guy who was in a hot tub just enjoying fireworks, and somebody lit off the firework. I don't even want to know who it was.
It tipped is what happened. It tipped is what happened. So after it was lighted,
starts.
Yeah, after it was lit, it tipped and started firing towards, from the story I heard, firing towards the people in the hot tub.
Yeah.
And he was one of them, and they all tried to get out of the way. And at first it was reported that he slipped and fell and hit his head.
Yes, that was the initial story I heard.
When he was trying to get away from the fireworks. But what the autopsy showed is that he died from taking a mortar round to the chest. And again, I know there's plenty of people that buy fireworks and are just really all about lighting off fireworks. And I don't understand it. I'm not even one of those people that enjoys fireworks shows truly. My daughter even called me out for it. She's like, I took her. So I took my daughter to go see fireworks. She's almost 3.5, and she thought they were cool, right? I want her to experience that, right? I don't enjoy them because to me it's the same shit all the time. Like I've already seen all the fireworks. You don't invent new fireworks every year, so they're all the same. I've seen them already. I don't really enjoy them. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching her watch them and being kind of into it. But she actually heard me say one day that I didn't like fireworks, and we went to go to them. She goes, "But Daddy, you don't even like fireworks." And I was like, "No, honey, I do. I want you to watch them. I want you to enjoy them." You're right. You're too smart for my own good. You're right. I did say that, but
Spoiler alert: Daddy does some things just to make you happy.
yeah. But it's just I've never been a person that has been super excited about fireworks. Like, I'm not one of those people that I even make fun of it. Like, I watch the fireworks shows and I go, ooh, ah.
Yeah.
Like, because people that do that are just insane to me, because you've seen that before. Why are you oohing and ahhing? It's the same firework you've seen.
I can't ooh and ah. I always kind of stand ready to move in case something, like, I get, you could call it a traumatic experience, whatever you want to, but there's just things that I've watched happen in my lifetime that made me realize very young this is a stupid thing to do.
You know what made me ooh and ah and go, wow, that's cool?
I mean, I have a couple smart-ass answers, but no, you tell me.
I really, as that was leaving my mouth, I thought I probably should not set him up for this. I appreciate you not just throwing him out there.
I will just.
You're gonna back off on that one?
I will. If I had backup here, we'd probably be able to go for about 25 minutes or so making fun of that comment. But
yeah.
No, I'm just going to allow for you to tell me what made you or not.
It was. I'm just gonna keep going. It was the drone show that they put on before the fireworks.
Fucking drones, and I'm not gonna say the drone shows what gets me, because to be honest with you, I don't know that I've ever seen one, but I love seeing the drone cameras of the firework displays.
Now those are kind of cool, but this
gives you a different view of it.
The drone light show that I saw put on by Shelby Township, and shout out to Shelby Township, they did a great fireworks show. It was awesome, as far as like the way they put it on, the crowd things they had for the crowd. Was
it by the baseball stadium?
It was over by not Ford Field, but it was over by the Ford Field where the baseball diamonds were and all that. Yep. They did a great thing for the community. I mean, it's a great community event.
Dude, Shelby's been, and not that anybody else cares unless you live in Shelby, but Shelby's really been stepping it up.
It was awesome. The things they had for everybody, not just the fireworks show, the things they had for everybody, but the drone show they had, and apparently they had it last year and I didn't see it. It was awesome. It really was cool. And watching the drones do the things in the sky, because it was so dark you didn't know the drones were there. It was just lights doing things in the sky. It was badass. It was really cool. That got me to go, wow. All right, that's awesome. That's cool. Fireworks to me, I was like, I mean, I've seen that one. I've seen that one.
I will send you a video. Maybe I'll even share it on the Sports on Tap page. But I got this really cool experience a few years ago to go down to Georgia over Veterans Day and stuff. And they do a display down there at one of their state parks.
Okay.
And it's second to none. It's just so cool to watch. And like I said, I'll send it to you later. And if Bruce wants to see it, it'll be in the group text. But like after that, oohing and on, and no, it doesn't. Fireworks.
And again, back to the grind my gears is, you're hurting friends and family. Please just stop. Just stop. Leave it to the professionals.
Point, potentially killing them.
Right. Leave it to the professionals. It's literally explosives.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it to the professionals. Just stop already. Stop. All right. On to the cameo shit show of the day.
Joseph Gaskins. Why does that name sound so suspiciously familiar?
It's
maybe because your secret screen name is Timeshare Hustler 69. What do you mean by Timeshare Hustler 69? Joseph, Chris Hansen here of Hansen versus Predators. To catch a predator and have a seat with Chris Hansen, I'm going to need you, Joseph, to have a seat right over there. I've been going through some transcripts and I have some questions and some concerns. You know, Joseph, you should know this at your age, and being 45, especially with a fiance who's half your age, that we're still at the tail end of a pandemic. You're still supposed to be somewhat socially responsible, not putting people into iffy timeshare deals in Myrtle Beach. It's a sort of behavior that, well, along with your online activities, could lead you to meet me in a dark kitchen someplace. Having to call your brother Steven to throw your bill. Do you think he'd do that? We don't know. He's still unsure as to how old your fiance actually is. We're doing some research. So behave yourself. And if you can manage that, well, I'll let you go just this once. Actually, for the second time. But there won't be a third chance. But if you can manage all that, actually, Stephen and I would like to congratulate you on finally tying the knot with the much younger fiance of yours. Hope it works out. I'm sure it will. Kidding. Anyway, maybe you can celebrate this wedding with a Mike's Hard Lemonade or a White Claw on me. White Claw is what we use in the current Predator investigations, and I'll have more of those for you soon on the TV and right now on my YouTube channel. Have a seat, Chris Hansen. Don't be in them. Just watch them, Joseph. In the meantime, I'll be watching out over you. So stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful wedding. Take care.
That was Chris Hansen.
So I have
for
some
those of you who
thoughts
don't
on
know.
that. Chris Hansen, unfortunately, this week was got a little warrant out for his arrest. So I was very disappointed to hear that. Yeah, after we had talked a few weeks back about his cameos, he somewhere in Michigan, there was a warrant issued for his arrest.
For Chris Hansen?
Yes, it wasn't what you would think it was. It's just a situation where he had an order to appear in court, and I don't know if that was as a witness or what the exact circumstances were, but he failed to appear and had a warrant put out for his arrest. So it was very funny that you chose that one. At points I questioned if he was talking to you. Because he kept saying Joseph, 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 Joseph. And I was like, wow, did Joe buy this? And then it got into the wedding thing, and I was like, okay, this isn't Joe, which made me feel a little bit better. The third thing that kind of stuck out to me, this guy's real fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Like real creepy.
Yeah.
He kept saying a lot of things.
It was very awkward.
Yeah.
I tried not to listen to too much of it before because I like to get the same reaction with you guys.
Yeah.
So I just download it and I upload it to the,
said a
to
lot
the
of
program
words in a short period of time.
Yeah, and it was really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, they all are, but that was just we had talked about it last week, so I wanted to get a Chris Hansen one, and I really just picked one that said roast. So I went with the one that was a roast, and it was really weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a great roast, but there were points in it where I went, okay, this is awkward.
Yeah,
I like if I'm
like
sitting, if you and Chris were to buy something like that for me, and I had to sit here and watch it in front of you,
awkward.
Yeah, I would kind of look at you guys afterwards and be like, well, okay, I appreciate that, but what the fuck?
That was awkward.
Yeah, that was weird. Like I feel uncomfortable.
Weird. Yeah.
Real quick before we get into it, Giannis.
Yes.
Giannis a full go tonight.
Full go tonight.
Full go tonight.
We'll see how much he plays.
Right.
See how much he plays.
I mean, this could be a less than 10-minute type of game for him, especially if it gets out of hand.
Yeah, and we'll see how he looks. Listen, if he's able to give it a real, honest, good go, they could make a game of it.
It makes me wonder. Like it's a tweaked knee. It's not any real damage, so ultimately it's just going to depend on how it feels.
But I mean, if it felt bad enough that he was listed as out yesterday, how much really did it improve? And is he just trying to gut it out because it's the finals?
I would go with that. But
yeah.
I also don't know that he has, I was listening to local sports radio and they were talking about him, and they asked a good question. I don't know that he has the killer instinct. So where there is a question there, this kind of pushes the ball more in favor of the fact that, hey, you know what, maybe he's not going to be able to do everything.
But he's going to gut it out.
But he's going to try it.
Yeah.
He's going to try to do what he can. And if he comes out and he plays 20-some minutes tonight, then fucking good on him.
Yeah, if he comes out and rests his nuts on the table and just goes, this is me, I'm putting it all out there, then more power to him.
We're talking Jordan Flu game type thing. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to help his name and help his brand and everything moving forward.
Yeah, I'm anxious to watch this game tonight. I really am. I'm going to watch it. And,
not changing my pick though. Going with Suns.
I'm not changing mine either. I still think Suns -6 is a safe bet. I really do. I think they're able to pull this game out tonight by more than that. So anything else you got for us?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
Feel better, Chris.
Yep. Chris, we missed you. Feel better. And look forward to hanging out with you again next week. But that's going to do it for tonight's episode. Give us a like, a share, and a follow.
Yeah, I actually may be off next week.
Oh,
so,
that's right.
Yeah,
you might be off next week.
It's moving day, so hopefully we'll be here next week, as long as Chris is feeling better.
Chris, please get better.
Otherwise, you're going to be sitting here watching Joe just talk to himself.
I'll be sitting here by myself talking to myself. Yeah, so that won't be fun for anybody. Anyway, so that's going to do it for tonight's episode. Give us a like, a share, and a follow on our social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. You can find all of our podcasts at your favorite podcast provider. As always, check out our website, sotdet.com. Again, that's sotdet.com. I want to thank everybody for listening and or watching. On behalf of Chris, who's under the weather, and Frank, I'm Joe. We are Sports on Tap Detroit. See you next Tuesday.
And that is it for us today.
No! God, please, no!
Bye, have a great time.
No! God!
Bye, guys.
No, 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 no!
Bye, buddy.
No!
Goodbye.
No!
Goodbye.
No!
It's never goodbye.
And that is it for us today.
No! God, please, no!
Bye, have a great time.
No! God!
Bye, guys.
No, 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 no!
Bye, buddy.
No!
Goodbye.
No!
Goodbye.
No!
It's never goodbye.
You know, we've been through our ups and been through our downs.
You were meant to be here tonight.
You guys will always be in my heart.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
I think the most important part is that we all stay together throughout.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Live. Fight like hell. The best thing I have ever done, the best thing I will ever do, is be a dad.
God, I love you guys. Mamba out.